It's time to get your hands on another edition of SportsCenter. The Yankees are one win away from another World Series title, but the Padres won't go down without a fight. Kevin Brown delivered, and so too did hockey's Kevin Brown, delivering some shattering news to the Islanders. While Mark Messier gets another chance at 600. Opponents won't have to take any more oral exams in San Francisco. The NBA players head to Las Vegas to make alternative plans for the upcoming season. DC unites itself for another chance at an MLS title. We are here to light up your life on SportsCenter next.
Hi again, SportsCenter hipping you to What's Up. Alongside Steve Levy, I'm Stuart Scott.
Coming up, in addition to the items already mentioned, Mark O'Meara's year is put in proper perspective. Raiders head coach John Gruden says he's sorry, and a gold medal-winning gymnast shows off the latest in dismounts. All of that in a bit, but first, we turn SportsCenter into baseball tonight.
Does that mean that you're Al Leiter and I'm Joe Carter?
How come I can't be Joe Carter?
I think Joe's a little taller and I'm a little taller than you, maybe?
All right.
All right.
Go with that.
If Game 3 of the World Series was like Bruce Bochy said, this is a game that reaches in and grabs your guts out, then it was Dr. Brocious who scrubbed in, yelled scalpel, and operated. 2 jacks, hitting .538 in the series. Scott Brocious has him on the verge of the first Yankee sweep since they broomsticked the Whiz Kids in 1950, and the best winning percentage in the Big since the Murderers Row Yanks of 27. The pitching matchup, redemption. Kevin Brown looking forward after getting tagged for 4 runs and 6 1/3 in Game 1. Andy Pettitte looking forward because of his 5.40 postseason ERA. Joe Torre's team looking for a 125th win this year, says Torre. This is the most determined team I've been around. Facing Kevin Brown, Brown's heater, maybe the best movement in the game. Hey, the first pitch from a guy whose career pitching record at Southern Cal was 7-5 and whose 2.93 ERA at Southern Cal better than teammate Randy Johnson. Bottom 2, 96 Yankee World Series hero Jim Leyritz, 4 homers in the postseason against Andy Pettitte. The 2-2 pitch barely missed. The 3-2 pitch barely missed. Leyritz walks. Next batter, another former Yankee, Ruben Rivera, the guy who went to San Diego in the Arabu trade. Comebacker off Pettitte's glove. Derek Jeter cannot get to it. Infield single, Rivera blew up a 3-for-4 night. Next batter, Pettitte, whose dad's recovering from double bypass surgery, schools Carlos Hernandez on the curve, one of 4 Pettitte Ks. After a walk to Chris Gomez, loads the bases. Kevin Brown, who had a nice .286 postseason batting average coming in, tries for the bunt, gunned down by Joe Girardi. Yanks get out of a jam. Top 4, no score. Chuck Knobloch fouls the pitch down the third baseline. You know you're large when you hit 70 homers, throw out the first pitch, and barehand the foul ball. Shades of McGuire's 1990 Gold Glove. You know, if he didn't get it, Paul Molitor next to him, 8th all-time in the batting list, he might have grabbed it. Bottom 4, Ruben Rivera trying to be a player. Derek Jeter, player-hating. Sick play. That's why Jeter only had 9 errors all year. Pettitte, a 1-hitter through 4. Top 6, no score still. Derek Jeter batting and doing mad work. High chopper to short. Gomez, nice play, but Jeter's safe at first. That's why DJ had 203 hits in the regular season. Take another look. Gomez, great pick. Jeter's O's got wheels. Derek, the first Yankee with 200 hits since Steve Sachs back in 1989. Next batter, Paul O'Neill. Hell of your business, kid. O'Neill hit just .211 in the series, but he laced a double there. Jeter held up at third. Next batter, Bernie Williams. Bernie, he had a rough World Series, just 1 for 16, but he bigs up. High chopper back to the mound. Brown throws to first for the out. Jeter scores Bernie's 8th RBI of the postseason. Take a look at Bernie's reaction. Nice hustle from the American League batting champ. Thought he beat the throw, still got the RBI. Bottom 7, still 1-zip. Padre fans hoping their team avoids becoming the first series sweep victim since the A's in 1990. Carlos Hernandez, chopper back to Pettitte. Gets Rivera caught between second and third. Rivera tagged out. Bruce Bochy not happy about the base running. Top 8 still 1-zip. Jeter on first, no outs. O'Neill batting. A chopper to first. Leyritz decides to take it himself. Could have thrown it to Brown. He didn't. O'Neill beat him to the base. Chuck Knobloch is probably thinking, whew, now they can question his judgment at first. Padres disagree with Tim Cheetah's call. Bochy, Brown, Leyritz, all livid. Take another look at the play. Close call, but probably the right call. Now then, they intentionally walked Tino Martinez, who was just 1 for 13 in the postseason with runners in scoring position, to get to Scott Brocious, who led the American League with runners in scoring position. Brocious, can I get some action from the back section? 15th postseason RBI. He said later it was just a great scene. Yanks would lead 3-zip after a sac fly. Brown sarcastically tipped his hat to Cheetah at the end of the inning. Bottom 8, Pettit walked Kilvio Veras to start the inning. And then Tony Gwynn. TG was banging. Guy went 8 for 16 in the World Series. Best pure hitter in the game today. One of the best ever. Pettit, 101 pitches, 7 Ks, 5 hits, no runs, a lot of props. First and second, no outs. Fans looking for a rally. Jeff Nelson sat down Greg Vaughn. Then Mariano Rivera came in, a record .56 career ERA in the postseason. Got hit by Ken Caminetti. Caminetti hit just 143, but he came up large then. Next batter, Jim Leyrich. Hard liner to center. Bernie Williams makes a nice basket catch to end the inning. Andy Pettit, bottom 9, still 3-zip. Hernandez at bat with the man on first. Hernandez grounds into a 6-4-3 double play. David Wells, Mr. Perfection, geeked. 1 out to go. For the final out, WABC Radio's John Sterling.
The stretch and pitch. Hit on the ground on a hop to Brocious. Fields, throws across, in time, ball game over, World Series over, Yankees win, the Yankees win!
Said Scott Brocious, I think the biggest moment is that third out, throwing the ball and knowing it's going to end the game and end the season. Fittingly, Brocious got the last out. Brocious, your MVP. Yankees win the game 3-zip. They win the World Series in a 4-game sweep. Their 24th World Series title, most of any pro sports franchise, better than the Montreal Canadiens' 23. It was New York's 7th World Series sweep. And get this, the last 6 times that Kentucky has won the NCAA basketball championship, the Yankees have won the World Series. As for the Pods, it's the 7th straight World Series game they've lost. San Diego now 1-8 all-time in the World Series, the worst record of any team that's made the series. Get this, the Yankees, they won the last 4 games in the '96 series against the Braves, so they have now won 8 straight World Series games. Those are all the raw numbers. As for the feelings, the emotions of the game, let's hand off to Chris Berman and company in San Diego.
All right, Stu, thank you very much, and welcome to San Diego along with Peter Gammons and Harold Reynolds. Start spreading the news. The New York Yankees, sweeping the Padres, winning 3-0, are the world champions for the 24th time, the 16th time it has been done in a 4-game sweep. And we begin to understand, we've understood it all year, but guys, we begin to understand the depth of the excellence of the Yankees because they did it every sort of way, Peter.
And they did, and especially the depth of the pitching staff. I mean, they allowed 1 run in the series against Texas. Their starters were down 2-1 against Cleveland, and who comes back? Hernandez, Wells, Cone. They could have lost game 1 against San Diego, and then Hernandez, Cone, Pettit all pitched brilliantly. They had the middle relief, and Mariano Rivera, 10 appearances, 6 for 6 in saves, not 1 run in the postseason. That's great 1 to 10 pitching.
Well, it's incredible. You know, we'll all talk about Joe Torre an awful lot, but what a coaching staff. Mel Stoudemire with the pitching staff, Don Zimmer on his bench, Willie Randolph always aggressive at third base. I mean, these guys were tremendous. Their scouting was tremendous. You see how many balls they hit at people, and there was somebody standing there. Jeter making great plays. I mean, it was a special thing to see, but he handled his coaching staff and his players to perfection.
And they were pressed, obviously, after the Knobloch game and the 2-1 trailing to Cleveland. They trailed in 2 of the games in the World Series, the pivotal first game, obviously, and the pivotal third game, which could have turned some things around. But the man that turned the third game around, the man that went 8 for 17 in the World Series, 6 RBIs and the 2 homers in Game 3, Scott Brocious, the MVP, with our Karl Ravech. Ravech.
With the most valuable player of the 1998 World Series. Wow, what a difference a year makes, huh?
You absolutely could not ask for more of a turnaround than what's happened here. You know, last year was as difficult as any year has been to go through, and sometimes you wonder why you're going through the battle and you know, what the outcome's going to be. But for this to happen and to come over to this team and to come out and win a championship just feels awesome.
Obviously, the numbers were mind-boggling in the World Series, but even when you made outs, you still hit the ball hard. Did you know during Game 1 of the World Series that you were sort of at a different level offensively?
Not really. You know, I just kind of carried the same thing that I carried all year. I just wanted to be solid out there. Just try to go out and do my job, not try to do anything unbelievable and do more than I'm capable of. So again, I just, they were an aggressive pitching staff, and I just tried to go up there and be aggressive with them.
Your being named the MVP is so symbolic of what this team represents, and the fact that when you consider who could have technically been an MVP, it ends up being a guy who wasn't here last year and certainly isn't the highest paid player on this team. Tell me about what it's like to be a member of this 98 club.
Well, this team is such a special team. I mean, I've never been around a group of guys like this, and it's just a privilege to be on this team. The talent on this team goes without saying. Everybody knows the type of players we have here, but the character of the guys on this team is just at another level. And from the day one of spring training coming over here, all the talk was just on team goals, focus of getting to the postseason and trying to win a championship. There's just no individual goals talk at all, and it was so refreshing to come over, around a group of guys like that.
Obviously, now the next question, especially in New York, is what do you do for an encore? And that being said, a lot of pressure on Brian Cashman to sort of keep this team together. Obviously, you'd like to see that, but how likely do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. Those are the type of things that as players, sometimes they go in the back of your mind, but they're decisions that really aren't in our hands. So there's something, for me, I just don't think about it too much. If I can't control it, why worry about it?
Exactly. Nothing to worry about after your performance. Congratulations on the World Series and the entire season. All right, back to you.
Hitting, fielding, Scott Brochus was tremendous. Andy Pettitte, 7 1/3 innings of scoreless ball, so he attacked that on to Game 5, his last World Series outing in the Atlanta series. 15 2/3 of scoreless ball. This just in, when he's on, he's good.
Well, he had gone through a very curious season, been more psychoanalyzed in New York than Ken Starr, but went into this game after all this time, and of course, Padres were looking cutters in and then fastballs away. So what did he do? Exactly the opposite. First batter of the game, fastball away, strike, then the cutter in on him, buries him. Then he had a great curveball tonight. Jim Leyritz couldn't hold up there. He throws another one to get Hernandez. And here in the 6th, he just taunts Hernandez in, gets him in, makes him hit away, and then what does he do? Throws a changeup, strike 3. He pitched like a guy who had everything going.
Well, absolutely, Peter. You said he pitched, and that was the key to the game. Here he gets Tony Gwynn on a 2-0 pitch, gets him off front a little bit. Now this to me right here, 1-0, he drops a hook on Vaughn, and then he comes back with the fastball. Vaughn misses it. Because of that breaking ball on 1-0, you don't know what to expect 1-1. And that's what you do. You keep hitters off balance. And Peter, that's that nasty cutter that you were talking about, knocking Caminetti down. He had tremendous stuff, and he didn't only use the stuff perfectly, but he pitched.
The Yankees approached each game like we know where we're headed. We know what we're trying to do, but yet it's just, and it sounds like a cliche, but with a bunch of professionals that they are, let's just get the next assignment done. Well, the assignments are done now, and 125 wins later, it's just beginning to sink in what they have accomplished, starting with their manager, Joe Torre.
We have this inner conceit about us. We don't spike the ball. We respect other teams. And we let other people tell us how good we are.
To experience the year we had with the expectations we had hanging over our heads, and to come in here and to sweep in the World Series is really just unbelievable that we did that, and just a great feeling that, you get to slip a World Championship ring on your finger with an NY on it.
I expect a lot out of myself, and I think I'm so hard on myself that it maybe brings me down a little bit. And but whenever I'm able to get focused and get locked in, I know that I can turn it up a notch when I have to. And I've had so many ups and downs this year, and so many things go on in my personal life that it's just been a real hard year. This was so satisfying right here.
He's been up and down all year struggling. His dad's been sick, and I'm glad Mr. Pettitte's doing better. But he pitched his heart out for his dad tonight, and it was a great outing. He picked us up.
He had the 114 regular season wins to the 11-2 run in the playoffs. It adds up to 125 50. 5 out of every 7 games for the Yankees. So if you put them historically, their .714 winning percentage is the 4th best all time. The 06 Cubs did not win the World Series. The 02 Pirates, it was the year before they had the World Series. So only the 27 Yankees had a regular season and then capped it off with a World Series championship better than the 98 Yankees. So that being said, their place in history, one of the best of all times, Peter.
Absolutely. You can't talk about teams back in '06 and '08. I mean, it's just not comparable. I don't think you could talk about teams prior to World War II when the St. Louis Browns were drawing less than 100,000 a year. I think what you have to do is go after World War II and look at the different teams. I think 75, 76 Reds. I think the 1970 Orioles, the 1984 Tigers. But This team didn't have the stars of any of those clubs, but they had everything going to them. The one thing the Padres said, they'd never seen another team that was above average in every single facet of the team, including the bench, including starting, whatever. I think the only comparable team in my lifetime with a 54 innings difference, this team swept, the 54 Indians were swept.
No, Willie Mays made a catch. It was pretty big and turned that thing around, and Dusty Rhodes hit some home runs. Well, the Yankees' place in history is now secure, and so is the place in history of Tony Gwynn. He has 2,928 hits. He will next season be the 21st man ever to amass 3,000 hits. He came into this series and delivered 8 for 16, the great hitter that he is. He's with our Dave Campbell.
Tony, overall observations of the series.
Yankees just played great baseball. They're the most balanced club I think I've ever seen. I mean, they do a lot of things well, and we saw it in this series. Their hitters were very patient. Their pitchers threw strikes. Defensively, they played. They had one really glaring mistake, and that was last night, and they still were able to overcome it. And so, the best team in baseball won. And I don't feel bad. I think we honestly gave them a good effort. We went out and we did some things. We had them down one in games 1 and 3. And they were able to bounce back and play like a champion. And I tip my cap.
I know you guys were banged up, but I also know you well enough. You're not going to make excuses.
No, not at all. Like I said, games 1 and 3, we did some good things. We hit some home runs or we scrambled and put some runs on the board. And they were late, and they still were very patient at the plate and did what they had to do. And so, you hate to lose 4-0 like we did, but. I'm not ashamed. We had a heck of a year, but in this series, I just think the Yankees were better, and they're champs and deserve it.
Tony, last question. So hard to get back to this place to play for the ring, and then all of a sudden 4 crushing losses.
Yeah, 4 in a row, and boom, it's over. And that's going to be hard to get used to, I think, this winter. And when you look back on it, I don't think there's a thing I would change, though. We had to fight hard to get here. Nobody thought we'd be here. We beat a couple of good clubs to get here, and we just ran up into a buzzsaw. The Yankees were rolling. Every part of their game, I think, was, in sync, and they were doing the things they needed to do to win, and they did.
America loves you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Back to the studio.
All right, Dave and Tony, thank you. And you were with him on the tour, Yankee Stadium and the Subway Herald. And he went from the Monument Park, where if they have one here in San Diego, they might as well build one for him. He was great.
Oh, he's unbelievable. What a great talent, but one of the most prepared people I've ever been around. The other day, he's out here taking batting practice after a big game. This is his first at-bat of the series in New York, playing the first time in Yankee Stadium. Goes down and gets a nasty Wells pitch, and then he hits the bomb. Let's just go back and think about how great a player this is. What a privilege to watch Tony Gwynn play in this World Series. He didn't only do it on offense, but defense. 3-2 count. Ricky Leday hits the ball down the line. Everybody's running with the bases loaded. Look at how quick he gets over to cut that ball off. Held him to 2 runs. Right here, slaps a slider through the hole. He hit fastballs, sliders, changeups. They tried everything to get through Tony Gwynn. Clutch situations. He came up with the big hits. A lot of times you talk about the money players. When they get into the limelight, will they perform? Talk about the Michael Jordans, those type of guys. Tony Gwynn has performed like a Michael Jordan in this series. Yet they didn't win, but I tell you what, here's his last hit of the series. We had to show this because I tell you what, he had an unbelievable series. I just love the way Tony Gwynn came to play, the preparation. And if you don't like Tony Gwynn, then you don't like baseball, because this man is baseball.
Well, I really believe that part of the spirit of this town is simply Tony Gwynn. But what we saw after this game, with the crowd going wild for Trevor Hoffman, for Wally Joyner, and for Tony Gwynn, left me with a better feeling at the end of the World Series than I really had in Florida, even when the Marlins won, because we knew that was simply a mercenary territory. This was Tony Gwynn territory.
I want to reiterate something we said after Game 3, mainly because Tim Flannery, the third base coach of the Padres, said, man, you had it right on. They asked the Padres to beat a team with 102 wins, Houston. They did it. They asked the Padres to beat a team with 106 wins, Atlanta. They did it. Now you're asking them to beat a team with 114 wins? Hey, it's hard to slay every dinosaur in Jurassic Park. The Pods can hold their heads up high. And what a great scene after the Yankees celebrated. Tony Gwynn and everyone came back on the field, and the fans said, thank you. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. We'll see you as well in just a little bit. Other sports news for you. Las Vegas, a non-NBA city, will set an all-time NBA attendance record Thursday when nearly half of the league's players displaying their best poker faces assemble in the same room. They'll attend with far less disposable income than they're used to having. No negotiations have been held in more than a week. With the first 2 weeks of the season already scrapped, the league is expected to cancel the remainder of the November schedule. As David Aldridge reports, it's beyond that remains in doubt.
The talk going into Wednesday's agents meeting was about decertification and whether or not players were ready to talk about a deal. But after 3 hours of meetings, more than 20 of the game's most prominent representatives were solidly behind Billy Hunter and the union leadership. And that leadership was talking tough.
I can tell you that this is probably one of the best meetings that we've ever had. I'm somewhat exhausted after the meeting because the agents have asked some rather incisive and probative questions.
Among those questions, how best to hold up players who are under financial strain. Among the answers, a series of fundraising games on broadcast television or pay-per-view, a commitment from star players to donate their shares of the union's annual $25 million licensing take to needy players, and at least exploring the idea of starting a new league.
You're talking about the players earning money as players, but also owning the league or owning the event, so they're making money as the owners also. They theoretically only have to do half as much, and they're going to earn the equal amount.
The union and its agents still held decertification as a future option, but most of Wednesday's rhetorical fire was aimed at owners and their claims that player salaries are making the league unprofitable.
It's difficult to understand why there's so much economic distress in the league when there are teams in small markets that are increasing their coach's salary by 300% to 400%, and they're arguing that 20% increases in player salary are breaking the bank. I think the evidence doesn't support the claims.
The Milwaukee Bucks did replace Chris Ford, who made $1.5 million last season, with George Karl at $5 million a year. And the union referenced the commissioner's own $35 million contract as evidence of the league's overall financial health.
Keep in mind that there are only 10 guys in the NBA who earn more than David Stern. I think that that's an issue that you ought to be raising with him.
More than 160 players will have their say on Thursday, and the guest list is much different than in years past.
I think for the first time, you know, we got Michael, Charles Barkley, Shaquille's coming in. You know, before we never had those players at the table before, and those players are the players that really pull this league.
There are no new proposals on the table, though Hunter said he would call Stern upon his return to New York at the end of the week. But if players reinforce their agent stand, the clock will continue on its deadly countdown, with the destruction of the entire regular season at the end of the fuse. In Las Vegas, I'm David Aldridge, ESPN.
David, thanks. While the players do meet in Sin City, the owner's next move figures to come out of a Board of Governors meeting next Tuesday. Their bargaining position seemed to be strengthened this week when an arbitrator rejected the union's claim that 26 players with guaranteed contracts should be paid during the lockout. Well, SportsCenter is all about the World Series, but it's much more than just that. Still to come, the NFL says to Hardy Nickerson of the Bucks, keep your saliva to yourself. We'll let you know how strongly they voiced that opinion. We're headed back to San Diego to feel the pain of the Padres who went down hard to the Yanks. Golf, to be Marco Mira. Had a fairly good season. We'll tell you exactly how good. And football, will the Jags get a rush this Sunday with the return of running back Fred Taylor? Stay tuned.
Here's the score. You've been bitten by a vampire.
In the war against evil,
you're gonna help us find him.
They must do all they can to keep the enemy
Time to kill some vampires
from a new battlefield.
Open wide, baby. You can't kill me.
James Woods, John Carpenter's Vampires, rated R. Opens everywhere October 30th.
They were true existentialists. They lived only for the moment.
Yeah.
That's Joey the bartender. So where's their table?
That's it. I served the rat pack.
Bingo. We struck gold.
Salute. Awesome. Forget about it.
He doesn't get it.
It's their custom-made Zippos.
But one of them's missing.
Who says you can't take it with you? Need a drink?
Yes, please. Don't film it.
Zippo. Use it to start something.
Wow, $1.75 for a cup of Joe?
It's the 90s. Everything's out of whack.
Not so fast. I know how you can get all your long-distance calls for under $1.
Oh, I heard about that. You dial 10-10-220, and all your long-distance calls from home up to 20 minutes cost just 99 cents.
Now, there's an informed consumer.
What happens after 20 minutes?
It's only 10 cents for each extra minute.
Well, you got to sign a contract.
You've been hurt, haven't you? There is no contract, nada.
Yeah, you just dial 10-10-220-1, and then the number.
Bingo. A little sanity in an otherwise insane world. Coffee's up.
Hardy Nickerson went from spitting to getting penalized 15 yards to denial to apology to expecting to get fined and to actually getting fined on Wednesday. A $7,500 hit from the NFL for spitting on Carolina running back William Floyd Sunday. It was the same amount Bill Romanowski paid last year when he spit on J.J. Stokes. It was also the second time that Nickerson spit on Floyd. Nickerson, a Pro Bowler, said, "I feel horribly bad. That just has no place in the game."
If an NFL employee is charged with an alcohol-related violation of the law, he or she could face possible disciplinary action by the commissioner. That's the word from the league. It relates to Raiders head coach John Gruden, who was charged Tuesday night with driving under the influence. At 35, the youngest head coach in the NFL said he had learned something as he apologized to Raider players, organization members, and fans. Gruden is due to be arraigned November 6th. That's 2 days before the Raiders play in Baltimore. Ted Marchibroda said he'd certainly make some changes to a Baltimore offense that hasn't scored a touchdown in 10 straight quarters. But it won't be Eric Zier. Even with strained thumb ligaments, he starts Sunday against the Pack. Jags running back Fred Taylor practiced Wednesday with full contact for the first time since separating his shoulder 2 weeks ago. He's probable for Sunday against Denver, and that's key because his backup, Tavian Banks, he's doubtful. And Giants starting quarterback Danny Cannell got the message. When he hit play on his answering machine, he found out he could play right away and much more than that. It was a doctor calling to say the lump removed from his chest this week was, as expected, not cancerous. The Giants are off this week after Cannell was really on last Sunday with a career game. And to Cannell's credit, he said the growth, while being an annoyance, did not affect his early season play. Stuart.
You know, Mark Messier is still looking for a 600th career goal. Since he didn't score it Tuesday, that old lead-in still works. I mean, the story's the same. Why write something different? Just rerun that lead-in, rerun that lead-in, rerun that lead-in, rerun that lead-in. It has to be for top team. So what would you expect of Mess on the verge of becoming just the 10th man ever to score 600 goals? Some quote like, "I'm really very honored," or "This is a dream come true." Nah, typical Messier. "I'm not looking at 600, he said, as a milestone. Just have to score 600. Then go for 700. Maybe it's me, but it looks like it's even better Wednesday than it was Tuesday. Canucks caps Messier helping honor Willie O'Ree, the first black player in the NHL. First period, Calle Johansson sends it for Messier. He cannot convert. At least he got a shot off, which he didn't do Tuesday. Later in the first, Caps with the puck. Joey Juneau rips the slap shot. Garth Snow appeared to stop it. The puck dribbles through, and Chris Simon poked it in, but no goal. The referee blew the whistle when Snow appeared to have it. Second period, 1-zip Canucks. Billy McCult and Marcus Naslin work a sweet give and go. McCult's second goal of the year, 2-zip Canucks. Still in the second, Joe Juneau down the side. Behind the net feeds Craig Berube, butter. Still, though, the Caps just 0 for 6 in the power play. Third period, Brian Bellows. Gonna leave it for Peter Bondra. Bondra blasts a rocket. Garth Snow getting his nonchalant save on. 34 saves by Snow. Canucks hold on to win it. 2-1. This is the Canucks' first win over the Capitals in almost 6 years. In those 8 games in between, they outscored Vancouver 34-14. Still ahead on SportsCenter, more West Coast baseball ahead. This time it's not the Padres going to the bullpen again. It's the Giants making a pitching change. And Andy Pettitte pitches a gem and helps the Yankees win their 24th World Series. Much more from San Diego when SportsCenter rolls back in the house.
Winston Churchill once said of golf, "It's a game whose aim is to hit a wee ball into a wee hole with weapons ill-designed for that very purpose." Aye. But the tour keeps on keeping on. We shall fight on the green. We shall fight in the fairway. We shall fight in the roughs and the sand traps. And, Sir Winnie, will never surrender.
Bulldogs on the loose. The Giants are not picking up Oral Hershiser's option for next season. The 1988 Cy Young winner basically was cut. In 98, Hershiser 11-10. In 16 big league seasons, the 40-year-old Hershiser has won 190 games.
Well, the Padres eliminated the Tomahawk Choppers, the Atlanta Braves, and the NLCS, only to be swept in the World Series by another bunch of choppers. The Yankees didn't Bronx bomb in Game 4. They chopped it off the plate and its surrounding area, showing yet another way the winningest team in a single baseball season can win a baseball game. For more on victory number 125 in 1998, back to San Diego and Chris Berman.
All right, Steve, thank you. Champions in 98, second time in 3 years, fourth time in the reign of the boss. George Steinbrenner with Karl Ravech.
The Joe Torre-George Steinbrenner relationship has been a match made in heaven, relative to some of the other matches we've had in New York with you as owner and other managers. This works.
You can say that. This does, because I have a tremendous respect for Joe and what he has been able to do. And when we hired him, if you'll recall, there were clueless Joe and this and that. Well, when we made up our minds to go after him, Arthur Richmond was central in that, and he told me that was his selection. Joe is a native New Yorker. He understands New York. He's a tremendous competitor and a tremendous manager, and he has done a wonderful job, just a wonderful job.
You were very emotional.
I'll scratch all that before he comes to me for a new contract.
Oh, he's coming. You were very emotional when you were given the World Series trophy. What was that about?
Well, it was about Bud Selig, because really, I'm never usually that emotional. But Bud Selig and I came into this game together 26 years ago. He was a few years ahead of me. And we're two old war horses. We've been in the game as long as any owners in the game. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. And to get the trophy from Bud Selig as commissioner meant a lot to me. And I just, you know, it's okay to be emotional, in my opinion.
Did it have anything to do with the fact that there were rumors you may not be involved with this team much longer?
No.
Right. As far as the team goes, though, how about keeping it together? Oh, by the way, here comes your trophy, which for the fourth time has you as an owner, and far as the Yankees winning.
Four of them, and each one is as great as the other.
Were you ever concerned during this postseason about your team not winning?
Yes, we were. We were concerned about it because Cleveland was tough. Texas was tough. We had a tough road to go just to get to the World Series, but we got here. And I always felt, even when we were down to Cleveland at that one point, and we had to have that game, I walked out and I said, don't worry, we're going to win this thing.
Questions for tomorrow? How do you keep this team together? We'll do that at a later time.
Trying it. We'll do it another time.
Okay. Thanks very much. Congratulations, George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. The Yankees, you add on games 3 through 6 of the 96 series against Atlanta. They've won 8 straight games in the World Series. You tack on the Pods, and they've run into two of the biggest buzzsaws, the 98 Yankees and the 84 Tigers. So they've lost 7 straight series games, but you know, their advancement both of those years was marvelous. A guy that was there then and now, Bruce Bochy.
We had them on the ropes a couple times, and they came back on us. You know, there's just no weakness on that club. They had starting pitching, relief throughout their lineup. They just do a great job, and you know, I tip my hat to them because I do think they should go down as one of the best teams ever assembled.
Looking back, what else can you do? I mean, I gave up the runs off of pretty much broken bat hits and infield choppers, and you know, it doesn't really make it any easier to accept, but looking back, what else can I do?
We won the West, and all of a sudden we had to go face Randy Johnson and the Astros, you know, which everybody thought that was going to be the World Series guys, you know, after they got Randy Johnson. Well, we ended up beating them, moved on to Atlanta. We had no chance against Atlanta because we had 3 Cy Youngs pitching for them. We stepped it up against them and won then. And like I said, unfortunately, we weren't able to continue against the Yankees. And you tip your hat and say, hey, you know, they had a good week, and we didn't. And they're the best team in baseball, and we got beat.
Yeah, they had a good week. They had about 26 good weeks. And if you go back to spring training, probably more than that. 125 wins for the Yankees. Our trio, 2 of whom own World Series rings. One from last year, Al Leiter. Joe Carter owns a couple with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now down with the hardest working man in showbiz, Karl Ravech.
Chris, thank you very much. And obviously, Alan, Joe, people will talk about the 98 Yankees as arguably one of the greatest teams ever. That being said, what impressed you most about this team?
Well, the thing that impressed me most was the way they kept bouncing back and bouncing back. They didn't let anything get them down. They went out there, won 114 ball games, came into the playoffs, knew they had to win it to have a great season, came in here and swept a very good Padres team. I mean, you tip your hat because they did everything right.
I think the big thing about a good team is walking the talk. And this team right out of spring training obviously was pegged to be world champions. They did it, and they just clearly went right through the season. And they did it with balance. It really wasn't like one or two guys in the lineup that just totally had great seasons. They did have great seasons in a lot of the guys, but you have Brocious on the bottom of the order having a good year, and Posada, and just all the way through. And as a pitcher, that's tough to figure out who you're going to pitch to. Also, they had good setup and a great closer in Rivera.
You mentioned Brocious, of course, his home runs in Game 3. We saw the Knobloch and Tino Martinez home runs in Game 1. And yet in Game 4, you guys both sort of think that it may have been a slow roller down the first baseline that was a key play. How come?
Well, the one thing you cannot afford to do is give the Yankees an extra out, and that's what they did. Jim Leyritz makes a good play on a high chopper by O'Neill, but for some reason he doesn't throw the ball to Kevin Brown. And when you do that, you put yourself in trouble. They went out and scored 2 runs. Had he made the play and just tossed it to Brownie, they went out and scored those 2 runs. We'd still be 1-0, maybe still playing.
We are taught as pitchers, Kevin Brown's a great fielding pitcher, to get over there as quick as you can. Get to the line and come up the line and then field the play from the first baseman. And Jimmy, I think if he had known that and played it first a little bit more like Wally Joyner, he probably should have dished it off. It cost the Padres 2 runs.
All right, lastly, put yourself both on the Padres team, and you see what transpires in Game 1. You see Game 2, and all of a sudden Andy Ashby gets a little sick. Game 3, they come back. Can you as a player on the Padres sense that, you know what, this team's a juggernaut, maybe it's not our year, or do you never really want to acknowledge that?
Well, you have to acknowledge that because everything turned out roses for the Yankees. I mean, the home runs in Game 1 there, the call that wasn't made, and then Tino hits a grand slam. Game 3, I mean, everything they did, it was like luck was on their side. But when you win 114 ball games, it's more than luck. You're a very good ball club.
For as much as you go into a series like this knowing you're facing a great team, I think the Padres somewhere in their hearts knew that, boy, this is going to be an uphill battle, and I'm certain they didn't think it was going to be 4 and out, but it was.
Yeah, good to have you guys battling with us. Al Leiter, Joe Carter, thanks for all your help this week. Now back up to you, Chris.
All right, guys, thank you very much, and ditto from us up here. Great job, Alan, Joe, and Ravech, of course. Spectacular as the Yankees' accomplishments have been, this team is spectacularly solid, Peter.
Oh, it is. Go back to the great play Derek Jeter made in Game 4. But big thing, big misplays by Jim Leyritz and Ken Caminiti. The Yankees never made plays that hurt them or beat them, right down to executing a rundown perfectly.
Well, when you play the Yankees, the thing about them, we have to play mistake-free baseball and beat these guys because they don't make mistakes. And then consequently, that puts more pressure on you as the opponent to try not to make mistakes, and you're forced into making mistakes by trying not to.
Start cutting the ticker tape. Friday parade in New York. And we would like to thank our friends. Our aerial footage provided by Goodyear. Back to San Diego shortly, but now to the Stu studio. And Stu.
Thanks, Chris. Still ahead, 2 majors for the year, plus Tiger Woods gives him strokes. Oh, to be Mark O'Meara. And if filing for bankruptcy means your team goes undefeated, hey, where do we get our Chapter 11 forms?
Okay, I'll be back on Tuesday. The number's on the fridge. I color-coded all your meals so you won't be confused. The blue one is a beef dish. B is for beef. The pink one's a pork dish. P is for pork. You get the idea. The green one is for vegetables. It should be violet for vegetables. But I thought you might see violet but think purple and interpret pork, which would defeat the whole purpose of convenient color coding altogether. 4 minutes on high, stir halfway. Bye, guys.
So what do you guys want for dinner, blue or pink?
Did somebody say McDonald's?
I hope Mom color-coded breakfast, too.
For me, finishing the Ironman has everything to do with personal growth. Being a member of Valley Total Fitness is about looking and feeling your absolute best every single day of your life. No matter who you are or what shape you're in, let Valley Total Fitness help you reach your fitness goals. It's just $5 to get started. Get fit, look great, and achieve any goal you want. Join Valley Total Fitness. It's just $5 to start. Call Valley Total Fitness now.
College Football Saturday. First at noon, the Big House comes alive when Ty Streets and the Wolverines host freshman sensation Antoine Randall L. and the Hoosiers. Then at 7, offensive powers collide as Peter Warwick and the Seminoles ride into Atlanta, hoping to outgun the strong-armed Joe Hamilton and the Yellow Jackets. College game day at 11, followed by Indiana versus Michigan at noon, Florida State versus Georgia Tech at 7, Saturday on ESPN.
Masters champ, British Open champ, World Match Play title champion Mark O'Meara has now won the PGA of America's Player of the Year award, edging David Duval.
Hockey for you. The Lightning win for the first time this season as the Penguins lose for the first time this season. Darren Poop with a shutout. Vincent Lecavalier, his first NHL point. Nashville's Greg Johnson said, "We had one guy who decided to show up tonight." He was talking about Mike Dunham, who faced 57 Detroit shots in a 5-2 loss. Doug Brown's goal, the 15,000th in Detroit franchise history. Looks like the boys are getting ready for the return of their head coach, Scotty Bowman, on Friday night. From a 203 hitter in Oakland to the brightest light just off Broadway. We'll hear from your World Series MVP next.
Where are you? With a love oh so true. A girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms.
You never know when love might come true. So be ready with Scope. Nothing kills more bad breath germs. Its minty tingle gets breath Scope clean and fresh. Scope, feel the tingle.
Where are you?
Every day, people all over America dial 10-10-321 to save money. And they save a lot. 50% on all their calls over 20 minutes. All day, every day. And from now until November 12th, dialing 10-10-321 not only can save you 50%, every call will also automatically enter you for a chance to win the $10,000 daily prize. 10-10-321. 50% savings every day. And every day, a $10,000 winner.
NFL Countdown, Sundays at 11, Mondays at 6:30 on ESPN. Welcome back to San Diego. Well, it's amazing what you can do as a professional or anyone when your mind is clear of stress. And Andy Pettit's performance on the mound in Game 4 was certainly a reminder of that. He was nothing short of brilliant. Here's Tim Kirkjian.
Andy Pettitte wrote the word Dad under the World Series emblem on his cap, a tribute to his father, who is recovering from double bypass surgery. Talk about your perfect get-well card. Pettitte gave his dad a win in the clinching game of the World Series.
It did definitely help me. My father called him today, and he was able to go home, so I think it definitely helped my mind to be clearer even more when I found out that he was doing good and was able to leave the hospital today.
He's been up and down all year struggling. His dad's been sick, and I'm glad Mr. Pettitte's doing better, but he pitched his heart out for his dad tonight, and it was a great outing. He picked us up.
That's the sign of a great player right there, when you're able to separate your personal problems from the things that you have to do on the field, and he just did a great job on that. I was getting worried because he didn't come out and start throwing about 13 minutes before the game. I was like, where's my starting pitcher? But he had a plan all along, and we worked well together, and he's awesome.
Pettitte's clinching win was similar to his last World Series start, a 1-0 victory over the Braves' John Smoltz in Game 5 in '96. Working on 10 days rest, during which he traveled to Texas to be with his father, Pettitte threw 7 1/3 shutout innings. And just like that night in Atlanta, his fielding helped win the game, as did his control of both sides of the plate.
It was a pitcher's duel in '96, and the only difference was this time is it was for the championship, and that one was to send us back to New York up 1. So, but they were definitely right there together.
Andy Pettitte, with all the questions that have been asked about him, I keep going back to '96 and what he accomplished in '96, and know there's an enormous heart there.
People had doubts about him on how he could, react in a situation like this, but you forget this guy won game 1-0 in Atlanta whenever we had our backs to the wall and everything. He had all his pitches working, it kept us off balance, and we can never get him, you know what I mean?
And Andy has a history of just throwing great games in big games, and when we went out there today, we had a great feeling with him on the mound. He's a big game pitcher, and you could just see it in his eyes. He had a focus, and he wasn't going to accept losing tonight.
After the game, Pettitte called his dad, who was still too weak to jump up and yell. So father and son had a good cry together. One has a repaired heart, the other a huge heart. Tim Kirkjian, ESPN.
All right, Timmy, thank you. Certainly Andy Pettitte, guys, one of the bigger names on this Yankee team, albeit still one of the young guys who they hope will be around for a long, long time. Hey, Peter, Ricky Leday had as much to do with the 114 wins in the regular season as you and me. But boy, in the World Series, he stood as tall as any Yankee.
Essentially standing in for Darryl Strawberry. He had 3 starts, 2 hits in each of them. 4 of them in the 2 starts against Kevin Brown, including a huge, the first 2 runs off Kevin Brown in Game 1. And in this clincher, came up 5th inning, roped the ball down the right field line. Ends up scoring the first run. Nice hit off the chair there. Then he gets a single, dumps the ball into right field in the 7th, but I thought, biggest one of all. Sacrifice fly, gets the ball in the air off Kevin Brown. How tough is that? That's the 4th time in the regular and postseason that anyone's hit a sacrifice fly off Kevin Brown. That was a great piece of hitting.
You know, the Yankees in game number 4 played small ball to score their 3 runs, but they certainly played long ball, Harold, in the first 3 wins.
Well, they sure did, and what's interesting about that is this team here, the National League teams went after them with fastballs. The Yankees are a tremendous fastball hitting team. Right here, Knobloch with the home run on a 2-0 fastball. The Padres players the next day said, I was surprised he was swinging. Well, I tell you what, Tino right here, there's no surprise he was swinging on this 3-2 fastball. Then Bernie Williams worked a 3-2 count, gets a fastball. A lot of times in the American League, 3-2, 2-0, they'll see a breaking pitch, an off-speed pitch. National League, they go after you. And I tell you what, Posada with a dinger here on a 1-2 fastball. American League hitters, you see so much junk that by the time you get a chance to see a fastball, you're unloading and uncoiling. And what can you say about MVP Scott Brosius? Just incredible. He jumped on a high fastball here from Trevor Hoffman, drove it out of the ballpark. Fastballs, I don't know if that's necessarily the way to go after the Yankees. And Boomer, they showed that they are a great fastball hitting team. You lay it in there, they're gonna put the wood on you.
Well, we cannot end this talk on the Yankees without talking to their manager, Joe Torre. I mean, here's a man that when they started 1-4 on the West Coast wing, papers in New York were saying, boy, he may not last the month of April. Yeah, right, 125 wins later, he's winning his 2nd World Series in 3 years. And Peter, he treats his players with dignity, with class. He knows all the buttons to push. Nothing slips by him. And he knows when to kick him in the derriere every now and then, too.
I think dignity is a very important word because he never loses his. He never allows the team to lose dignity. He never stops being intense, and the team was always intense. But I think most of all, he has a perspective. He was a great player who knew what it was like to go hit into 4 double plays and go 0 for 20. This team never forgot that it was great and that it could go through little periods when they didn't play up to par.
Professional. Professional. The word to describe Joe Torre and the way he treated his team and the way the Yankees have represented themselves. And that's why, for the 24th time, they own the World Series trophy.
Now that baseball is over, NBA's in a lockout, let's start focusing on hockey. Get to know Luc Robitaille, huh? This is SportsCenter.
Hey, open up! Open up!
What?
You're almost out of orange juice.
Okay, fine. Don't have a heart attack.
An ironic choice of words. You know, heart disease is just as big a health risk for women as it is for men.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, stuff like orange juice is good for your heart. And it contains the antioxidant vitamin C.
Okay, fine. I'll get some more. Just chill out.
Chill out. Refrigerator humor. I like that. Am I right?
100% pure Florida orange juice. Are you drinking enough?
Is your dandruff sending the wrong signals? Get Selsun Power. Doctors recommend Selsun Blue #1. So don't send the wrong signals. Get Selsun Power.
If you were to take away all the luxury cars on this road, priced above $30,000, without such luxuries as Bose CD audio system, leather seats, and a satellite-linked navigation system, what you'd have left would be the new 225 horsepower Acura TL and one very empty road on which to enjoy it. The new TL from Acura.
It's Thrifty Car Rental's 40th birthday, so let's get the show on the road. Call 1-800-4CARS. There's something special going on at Thrifty Car Rental and Blockbuster Video. You rent a car from Thrifty, you get a free movie rental from Blockbuster Video. Just ask. When you rent a car at Thrifty, you'll drive home with a free movie rental from Blockbuster Video. Get the show on the road with Thrifty Car Rental and Blockbuster Video. Call 1-800-4CARS.
Hi, Tom Bodette. Well, this is what I looked like back when I was new. And this is a new room at Motel 6. When I was new, a new room at Motel 6. Cute, huh? I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Kings and Panthers skate to a 1-all tie. LA's Manny Legacy may have started one. 49 saves in his first NHL start.
Still to come on SportsCenter, one last look back at what the Yankees have accomplished this season. You'll want to stay tuned for that. You can think of 125 reasons.
Catch everything that happens in the NFL this weekend on ESPN. From our studio shows to ESPN Sunday Night Football, it's the NFL on ESPN. Sunday at 11, it's NFL Countdown. At 7:30, it's NFL Primetime. And at 8:15, it's ESPN Sunday Night Football. Buffalo at Carolina. Then, Monday at 6:30, it's Monday Night Countdown. The NFL is on ESPN.
Olympic gold medal winning gymnast Dominique Moceanu is suing her parents for independence, claiming they haven't worked on their own for 2 years. They've squandered her money, and they've treated her like a business since she began gymnastics. Moceanu, who ran away from home over the weekend, wants to be declared a legal adult so she can control her own money. A judge has signed a restraining order against her parents. Still ahead for a team that had no real stars. Nobody had more than 28 homers. The Yanks put together a 125-win season. Coming soon, a tribute to a group of men who may be the best baseball team in history.
Proud to play the hero, the villain, the scapegoat, and the role model, all in one inning.
Proud to bring underprivileged kids to a big league ball game.
Proud to work hard for a living. Proud to throw them out at the plate.
Proud to be from Cuba. Proud to play for the league minimum.
Proud to play in a new era.
Now available at Champ Sports. Check out our website at champsports.com.
Batting next, Mark McGuire. Where is it?
Did somebody say McDonald's? Oh, and you better make that to go.
A great tradition is reborn on ESPN2. Friday Night Fights, showcasing today's best talent along with classic bouts. This week, Macho Camacho takes on Ken Cigarretti, plus Ali Foreman, the Rumble in the Jungle. Friday Night Fights, tomorrow at 8 on ESPN2.
Gammons scored his 5th goal in 6 games. Edmonton wins their first at Nassau Coliseum since '91, a span of 6 visits. Only an estimated 3,000 fans showed up for this one. We'll be right back.
Today's Sports Century Classic Moment is brought to you by 1-800-COLLECT.
World chess champion Garry Kasparov pits his tactical genius against Deep Thought, a computer that can scan 720,000 chess positions per second. In 2 matches, Kasparov defeats Deep Thought decisively. I can't visualize living with the knowledge that a computer is stronger than the human mind, he says. I had to challenge Deep Thought to protect the human race.
That was October 22nd, 1989.
What's going on?
They're going for the world's record.
I can't wait that long. Who are you?
Don't mind me. I need to make a call. You gonna use 1-800-COLLECT? Of course.
Go, come on.
Good. 1-800-COLLECT is really fast and easy to use. That's right. It's cheap, too. Could you do me a favor, then? Sure. Move. You're crushing my spleen.
Oh, pre-med. 1-800-COLLECT. It's fast, it's easy, it saves.
The only MLS champion ever, the DC United, they advance to the finals where they will meet the Western Conference champion Chicago Fire and expansion team.
A couple other hockey scores to share with you. Montreal hands Ottawa their first loss of this season, and the Mighty Ducks blanked the Bruins out in Anaheim.
Steve and I coming back to wrap up the show. Scott Brochus might be the MVP, but Bernie Williams did something this year no other ball player has ever done.
Did You Know is brought to you by Suzuki, makers of the all-new V6 Grand Vitara.
Looks like Taz just got his AT&T phone bill. Taz, don't you make a lot of calls on Sunday?
Yeah, Taz call.
Then use MCI 5-cent Sundays. It's just 5 cents a minute every Sunday. AT&T charges 3 times as much. Uh-oh. Taz, let's call 1-800-SUNDAY. Become an MCI customer.
Yeah.
At last, a mini SUV with enough power to take you anywhere you want to go. And enough space and comfort to make the journey enjoyable. Introducing the all-new V6 Grand Vitara from Suzuki.
Excuse me. Is that really a Suzuki? It's very nice.
Whether it's on the network or the net, it's ESPN. Log on to ESPN.com. It's your gateway to sports on the internet. Get a total fix anytime you log on. Plus, read Vitale, Gammons, Mortensen. Get scores, updates, breaking news, and get smart fast. ESPN.com. Log on today.
Hi, this is Chris Myers. Hope you'll join us later today. We'll talk with Troy Aikman of the Cowboys. He's healthy now. He'll start the next time Dallas takes the field. We'll talk about his team and his recovery from injury. Up close at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. We'll see you there.
Both soaked in champagne, George Steinbrenner hugged Joe Torre, told him, "You're the best manager I ever had. You deserve it." Torre replied, "Thanks, boss." What team do you think our Did You Knows about?
Oakland A's? It's the Yankees. It deals with a Yankee hero who has done something no one else has ever done. Did you know Yankee center fielder and cleanup hitter Bernie Williams became the first player in baseball history to win a batting title, a Gold Glove, and a World Series in the same season? Of course, now the burning question in New York is, what uniform will Bernie be wearing next season?
Yeah, maybe Arizona. Buck Showalter, former skipper. Talk about a fat season this year. The Bombers had a .714 winning percentage with no one elected to start in the All-Star game. Our props go out. I'm Stuart Scott.
I'm Steve Levy. We leave you with a look back at arguably baseball's best team ever and arguably baseball's best season ever.
You gotta have faith to climb the ladder. Since yesterday, you've risen higher. Forgetting the past, look toward the future. For the prize ahead, the fight is worth it all, worth it all. So hold on to your dream. Never stop being a dreamer. As hard as it may seem, keep on pressing through.
Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.